back to so what was the change for you in college? Like how did you end up deciding? Okay, I fucked up in science, and now I want to dedicate myself to the
no.
science.
I think what happened was. Can I cuss?
Yeah, go for
it. No, like in high school, it was a lot more like fuck, like I failed.
Culture here, bro.
I was like fuck, I failed my class. Like I wasn't used to failing classes. And then the year that I failed those classes, that's the year that the counselor decided to put me in like the honor level science classes, and like I just wasn't there to learn, because I was doing sports at that time. It was priorities.
Yeah, and the sports you were in, you said were
soccer, track, and cross country.
So those are heavy workouts, and by the end of the day you're burnt out, right? Like
starting off 0 period at 7 a.m. and then coming back home by 7 p.m.
Oof.
So it's definitely long days. But so I did fail those classes, and then I was like, crap, like that's not me,
Like I get my shit together.
Yeah, that was like freshman, sophomore year, and I think that's the time where like I stopped like hanging out with like the group of friends,
which was me, including me.
Yeah. Instead, I was using my time to study and shit like that. But
we're hanging out with like mostly the skaters, right?
Yeah, I totally dropped that group of friends because everybody wanted to be cool in that group. Everybody was smoking pot,
except me.
Skating, like drinking, and even though it sounded fun back in the day, like I kind of wanted to like
we did
do
something.
Shit.
Remember like we would even just jump without skateboards, fucking stairs. Remember like those flight of stairs? And I just remember like I think Alejandro, he ate shit. His ankle just gave out. It was like. Was it 10 steps? Like maybe, right?
It was a big one.
Yeah, it was a big jump, and he's a big guy, and his fucking ankle just gave out, and like fuck, like you just see him go down really hard.
Yeah,
that was just stupid shit we were doing in high school.
Yeah, so it was pretty much for me. It was pretty much just making up for like the failed courses. But after that, that's when they actually told me I couldn't go to school. Because like like your legal status, blah 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 blah, and like all that stuff. And I was like, fuck, like, what do I do now? And, but that's how I ended up at Rio Hondo. And then, again, I was doing something that at the end, like 2 years later, I found out I couldn't do it because, like, of my status and shit. I was like, fuck, like, what do I do now? So then that's kind of like how I moved into...
You found this out yourself, or was somebody telling you...
Hey, no. So what happens is, in that path that I was taking, which was to do... forensic science, right? We needed to be able to pass a background check, to be able to go to like the police academy and like do courses there and whatever. Okay. But I wasn't able to, I couldn't pass a background check because, like I didn't exist.
Right.
And so after that, I was like, okay, well, I want to do science. If I can't do forensic science, right? Like I'll do science. And so that's how I like made that shift to just science. And again, at Rio, I failed multiple classes. I failed chemistry twice, bio. I didn't fail bio, but calculus, like all the like prereqs to like get out of like in keep going. But it was definitely like a challenge to do those courses.
And did you feel distracted, or what was the reason you were in those classes?
No, the classes are just hard. The classes are definitely hard. I think Rio, in terms of like the science courses, has one of like the highest like higher standards for like their science courses.
Let me ask you this, and like there's this belief of thought, like when I was going to school, you put this amount of pressure on yourself, like really high amount of pressure, like fuck, like I gotta have a 4.0 GPA if I want to pursue a doctorate school. But you're telling me yourself, like you're not passing your classes at the beginning in junior college or in college. So I think that this is a great topic, especially for students who don't have that good start. Maybe you can break those misconceptions.
Yeah, I definitely did not have a great start. What's really good about now is that a lot of community colleges in California offer 2 years of free tuition. You know, like, oh, there's no excuse anymore saying like I can't go to school, right? But depending on how well you are with your academic courses coming out of high school, like you go through like, you know, placement tests to see where you get put at, you know, in college. And for me, it was like, for like, you know, math was never like my thing, right? So when I tested for math to see where I was placed, I got placed out all the way at the bottom again, right? And then for science, you need like calculus 2, at least calculus 2, at least for chemistry if you want to transfer out. So that's like, you know, I got placed like back in like regular algebra. So that was like algebra 1, algebra 2, trig, pre-calc, stats, calc 1. That's like 6 courses or 5 courses, 5 math classes before you can say, okay, I'm good, I can transfer now, right? But I think a lot of students it's just a shift in I was told how to study versus telling you this is what you need to study. It just, different schools have different ways, so it's kind of like you have to develop your own way of studying and getting shit done.
Right. And is there any, you know, any advice, like because like you said, you know, there's a lot of people, they fail maybe a class or two and it's like they just give up because they think like I said, like it's so, you know, schools are so competitive.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I can't do this no more.
I mean,
what would you say for them to continue or?
No, you know what? It happens a lot because I know when I was at Rio, I did meet a lot of people, a lot of students, and they failed one class and then they're like, okay, I'm changing my major.
Yeah.
Right? But it's kind of like they're not giving themselves a chance to study or understand the subject. And a lot of times, especially going to community college, a lot of these people that are students that go there, they're like, you know, full-time employees, parents, and so it's a little harder sometimes. And a lot of times, people who went from high school to like a 4-year and got a full ride or get financial aid, they don't understand the concept of I need to work a full-time job or 2 jobs and still go to school, right? And so they have like this whole, well, like, why are you failing, or how come you didn't finish, like how come you didn't get your bachelor's, or why is it taking you so long, right? So it took me 4 years to get out of Rio, and it's supposed to be a 2-year college, right? And it took me 4 years to get out of there. So in total, it took me 6 years to get my bachelor's. But for me, it was kind of like I was heading towards something that I wanted to do, but then found out that I couldn't do it. So then I had to shift gears to something that I that could do, and then it just added up to 4 years, and then I got out and 2 more years after that. But you know, it's really giving yourself the chance to kind of like amend for like the mistakes you did in terms of like, you know, maybe you didn't study enough, or maybe you didn't have the time. Just, you know, you already know the material, now you just go in and like do it again.
Yeah. No, and I think, and you know, I think it's a really important message that I'm really proud of you, man. Like you said, you know, it may have taken a little longer time, but the thing is, you had a goal and you completed it. Like, that's, you know.
Yeah, man. Thanks. I know from the group of friends that you know, our group of friends, I can't really say much of like what they're up to anymore, because we kind of like all just split.
Yeah, definitely.
And I lost track of like a lot of people. I do know some, and some people are doing really well. You know, they're still in school, or they're like, you know, working their medical, like going to medical school and stuff like that. Yeah. But there's not a lot that I know.
Yeah, and you know,
from our class at least.
Yeah, and if you're a high school kid watching this, like, the older you get, the more friends, you know, like your friend circle gets smaller. Like,
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's I think it's a good thing. You know, you're filtering out, like, you know, I don't want to say people you don't need in your life, because you know, I feel like everybody can contribute something to your life, but you know, there's definitely people like who are bad influences, and you gotta ever since you know starting this podcast and getting to this point in my life, like I found out, like, you know, I wasn't surrounding myself with good people, with people who had my best intentions, people who motivate me, like, you know, to be a better version of myself. and that's really important. You know, like I have this thing I want to be a billionaire, but the only way you can be a billionaire, you know, you surround yourself with billionaires.
Right,
like,
yeah.
You got to get that mentality.
Yeah.
And it's just not, it's not just a wish. I mean, that's the whole reason I started this podcast, because like I don't have that network, you know.
Right.
So this is my attempt of reaching people, you know, picking at their brain, trying to figure out how I can get myself in that circle, how I can,
Yeah.
you know, not ask for a handout, but see like how do they think, how can I learn that and apply it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like I've been doing some kind of like something the same. I mean, I don't have a channel, you know, a show,
but it may be coming soon.
But maybe, maybe it's gonna be definitely a food channel, because I fucking love tacos.
Oh yeah,
that's like the hint right there.
All right.
But yeah, like I definitely agree with you. Like you can't get anything positive if you're not hanging out with people that are doing positive things, right? And like you mentioned, you can still keep your friends who are not as positively influential to your goals, right? But in a way, you know, maybe that's not really who you want to affiliate, you know, 24/7 with. You know, maybe, you know, keep them around, but don't make them like your priority, your who to go for advice. Because again, if they're not doing anything productive, like what are you gonna get out of a conversation with them if you are seeking, you know, something that's gonna maybe in a sense you're looking for some advice in some sort of career or how to make yourself a millionaire, right? If someone who's like smoking pot 24/7, right? Like I don't think, you know, and I'm not saying our friends do that, you know, but I'm, you know, kind of like the type of influence that's around, because I mean you can have really influential people who does, you know, smoke 24/7, right? But it's just a type of you know, the positive messages that you can get across from like certain people.
Yeah, and it's just also, you know, their habits, the way they carry themselves, because like I said, you know, you can be with someone who smokes maybe 24/7, but the reason they're smoking 24/7 is because they got a weed shop or something, you know. That's their life, and they found a way to make an income out of it. So,
you know, and it's so funny that actually brought that up, because when I was in college, there was one student who would always come high to chemistry classes.
Okay.
Because he said the only way he can focus was being high.
Right.
And that's the only way he would actually sit for an hour and kind of like digest things while, you know, they were being
calm him down.
Yeah, because he said otherwise he was just gonna like nothing was gonna get through him.
He's just gonna spaz out.
Yeah.
Sounds like he had like ADHD or something.
Probably, and that was probably the way he was controlling it.
Right.
But that was really interesting. Like every you know, like I think it was like twice a week he would be like come high. Really nice guy though.
Yeah, man.
Smart, Joe.